Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dane, your host. I hope you're doing great wherever you may find yourselves. And blessings to all of you wonderful people out there. A lot of heavy metal bands have a mascot that graces many of their album covers. And today I would like to discuss with you a specific mascot from the heavy metal band Cirith Ungol. This is their debut album, where the character first appears and appears on subsequent albums. Not all of them, as I said, but most of them. And while I will never discourage anybody from watching my videos, this may not be the video for you if you know who this is. However, having said that, if you'd like to mention in the comments below you'd like to contribute in some way and share your views and ideas and what you know about this particular character, I'm not going to discourage you from doing that. So go ahead and knock yourselves out. I would very much appreciate it. So again, here's the debut. Now here's the follow-up, the sophomore effort. Same artist, I'll get to that soon. But this does not contain the character from the previous. Okay. They're both sci-fi fantasy. I'll get to that, more of that in a minute. But what you have here is the artwork here is representing a scene from Lord of the Rings, the third novel of that trilogy, with Aragorn, confronting the King of the Dead, hence the name of the album. So again, not all the albums have that particular character. The third album, we're back to the character whose name we'll talk about soon from the first album. Here, it's hard to see with the glare. One Foot in Hell. Then he graces the fourth album. And the back has the chaos symbol, which is related to said figure. Okay. Then the live album, I'm Alive. He's back. Then the EP, Forever Black. And then this album, Dark Parade. And then the new one, which I don't have yet. Well, I'll be getting soon. The new live album, I should say, which I'll be getting soon. So I could do a review on that. So who is this character? Well, to tease you a little bit more, let me just show you the other albums. Two of these are homemade, but this is their original logo, not mascot, the praying skulls. And this is the homemade one for the orange album that I made. And then also homemade black and white cover of Witch's Game. Okay. So finally, who is this mysterious character that keeps popping up on their album covers? His name is Elric of Melniboné, who is a anti-hero who appears in the novels of Michael Moorcock. The first appearance is 1961. This character is in most 99% of the novels written by Michael Moorcock are fantasy, pulp fiction, sword and sorcery, sci-fi, and this character, Elric of Melniboné, is a albino. Some have argued is an elf. I don't think it's ever said anywhere in the literature that he is an elf, but he's very elf-like in appearance. He's part of a multiverse where you have an infinite number of planets, and here's the kicker. Elric of Melniboné is one example of what's called the Eternal Champion, doomed to live forever. He has many avatars, or Elric is one incarnation or avatar of the Eternal Champion. Think of the character Cain, who is cursed by God, by Yahweh, to live eternally for killing his brother, or the Wandering Jew story, also from Mesopotamia. Very important archetype in general in literature, the person who is fated to never die, a blessing and a curse. So again, the first appearance 1961. He is an anti-hero, if I've not said that. And in some cases, this figure is, in some cases, depending on which avatar you're talking about, is an agent of chaos, sometimes an agent of neutrality. Elric goes from being an agent of chaos to an agent of neutrality, sort of, and some of these avatars are agents of order and not chaos. And so the whole very basically, the whole summary, if you will, of Michael Moorcock's premise is that there needs to be a balance between order and chaos. That chaos can bring good things. This whole series, which originally was just 15 novels, which I'll talk about in a minute, went beyond that because Moorcock had much more to say, thank goodness. And it has inspired various role-playing games, manga novels, etc. So Elric's character is one who is he's an emperor, but he's also a soldier, a fighter, a warrior. He's also a magician, he's a wizard, a mage, if you want to use that phrase, or a warlock. He's very sickly, and he has to take drugs to stand up and move. But let me read you a little bit of his description in the opening novel of the series, which is Song of the Black Sword. Actually, it's not the first. It's the fifth book in the series. I have all of these, but most of them are in storage because they're out of print. So here's the opening salvo of the Elric saga, as it's often called. It is the color of a bleached skull. His flesh and the long hair which flows below his shoulders is milk white. From the tapering, beautiful head stare two slanting eyes, crimson and moody, and from the loose sleeves of his yellow gown emerge two slender hands, also the color of bone, resting on each arm of a seat which has been carved from a single massive ruby. The crimson eyes are troubled, and sometimes one hand will rise to finger the light helm which sits upon the white locks, a helm made from some dark greenish alloy. I'll skip down a little bit. He looks down the long flight of court steps to where his court disports itself, dancing with such delicacy and whispering grace that it might be a court of ghosts. Mentally, he debates moral issues, and in itself this activity divides him from the great majority of the subjects from these people, for these people are not human. These are the people of Melniboné, the Dragon Isle, which ruled the world for 10,000 years and has ceased to rule it for less than 500 years. And they are cruel and clever, and to them morality means little more than a proper respect for the traditions of 100 centuries. So, very cool indeed. Now, let me talk about the original 15 novels in this series. Again, there are others. You have number 1, The Eternal Champion, 2, Von Beck, which I'm currently rereading for the 3rd time, Hawkmoon, A Nomad of the Time Stream, Elric's Song of the Black Sword, which I just showed you, Road Between the Worlds. This is important because you have a novel within, it's 4 novels in one. These are all omnibuses. And one of them was called The Fire Clown, then they changed the title. But that specific book, again called Road Between the Worlds, is important because the Fire Clown is the one who says, set the controls for the Heart of the Sun, which is the title of a Pink Floyd story. Then you get Corum, The Coming of Chaos, then Sailing to Utopia, Cain of Old Mars is the 9th book, Dancers at the End of Time, Elric, Stealer of Souls, then Corum, Prince with a Silver Hand, so Corum returns in the series, then Legends from the End of Time, then Earl Aubeck, and then Count Brass. And then after those 15, you get a new trilogy. It's old now, but it's called The War Amongst the Angels. Then you get another trilogy much later than that one, where Moorcock goes back and does another trilogy about Elric and his son or his daughter or both. I have not read these in a long time, and they're spaced in between the original series somehow, make room, insertions. And then he goes back, and this was a couple years ago, he put out another book where he goes back in time and puts another Elric book somewhere in the time stream of the time period in which Elric lived. So, if I may now read to you from the Von Beck book, which is the 2nd book in the series. And this is where I left off. Hold on thought. This is page 463. So this is the prologue to one of the sections of Von Beck, which is about 600 pages. And Von Beck is one of the one incarnation of the Eternal Champions. Actually, he's several, because there are different members of the Von Beck family that he traces throughout the history of the Von Beck family. Anyway, I am John Dacre, the victim of the whole world's dreams. I am Ericose, champion of humanity, who slew the human race. I am Ulrich Scarzal, lord of the Frozen Keep, who bore the black sword. I am Ilian of Garathorn, Elric Womanslayer, Hawkmoon, Corum, and so many others, man, woman, or androgyny. I have been them all, and all are warriors in the perpetual war of the balance, seeking to maintain justice in a universe always threatened by encroaching chaos, to impose time upon an existence without beginning or end. Yet even this is not my true doom. My true doom is to remember, however dimly, each separate incarnation, every moment of an infinity of lives, a multiplicity of ages and worlds, concurrent and sequential. Now, here's what's really cool, or just as cool. Page 466 now. That was page 463 in the hardback. So at one point, John Dacre's character comes across a dream, or is it real? And he has to board this ship to find what he's looking for, and I won't go into that. But he sees a bunch of soldiers standing on the edge of a cliff, and he speaks to them, and he cries out to them, "Who are you?" And they answered me, lifting their heads to chant a frightful litany as a connection to music. "We are the lost, we are the last, we are the unkind, we are the warriors at the edge of time. We are the ravaged, we are the despairing, we are the betrayed. We are the veterans of the 1,000 psychic wars." And that, if you're a Blue Oyster Cult, should ring true with you because of that song on the Fire of Unknown Origin album. And those song lyrics were co-written by Blue Oyster Cult and Michael Moorcock himself, along with the song Black Blade, which is a song on Cultosaurus erectus, and that is about the sword Stormbringer that Elric wields. So again, that's the connection between Michael Moorcock's character Elric of Melniboné with not only Cirith Ungol gracing the album covers, but in addition, two songs at least with Blue Oyster Cult, and of course the connection to Pink Floyd that I made. So let's talk briefly about the two swords, allegedly. So what's really cool about Elric's character, the Black Blade that Blue Oyster Cult references in that said song, is its name is Stormbringer. And what's interesting about the sword is that it's a vampire sword, and that means that when Elric or whoever wields it kills someone with said sword, it steals their soul, and the soul goes into the sword. Think of the ring of Sauron, contains his own essence, right? That kind of thing. And allegedly, there's a second twin sword, its companion, called Mournblade, and depending on which book you read, it's meant to be mysterious. Does the sword really exist, or is it just an extension of Stormbringer itself that Stormbringer can make appear? Or it does not exist at all. Depends on which book you read or how you interpret things. And the sword, in addition, is changeable. In other words, it has its own incarnations depending on who the Eternal Champion is. Like Hawkmoon has what's called the Rune Staff, and supposedly the Rune Staff is the Hammer of Thor, the Sampo from the Kalevala in Finnish mythology, and it is Stormbringer as well. So this weapon takes many different shapes of weapons, depending again on who the avatar is in a particular story. So if we go back to the album covers, here again is Elric of Melniboné, Michael Whelan, again the artist. Just show you that one again. Really cool artwork from Michael Whelan, or Whelan, excuse me. I'm not sure which way you pronounce it. I think it's Whelan. Again, really cool album artwork from. I'm not sure if this one is Michael Whelan or not. I want to say yeah, but I'm not positive. I know all the other ones are. So, the reason I'm doing this video is that if you're not familiar with Michael Moorcock's work, if you like pulp fantasy fiction, if you like sword and sorcery, If you like characters, think of Doctor Who, right? And there is a connection between what Michael Moorcock has done with the Who universe, but I'll leave you to research that. But what's cool is if you like this kind of thing, again, magic and sword and sorcery and fantasy fiction, pulp fiction, in the sense that it's pulp fantasy fiction, sci-fi, because it's an alternate Earth in some cases that you have here. This is a wonderful story. I suggest you begin with the first book, The Eternal Champion, where the avatar is Erikosi, and he's chasing a city called Tainlorn, and he wants to find his beloved Ermazad, as John Dagger wants to do, that kind of thing. And what's interesting is that the beloved that the specific Eternal Champion is looking for, whatever avatar we're dealing with, his beloved takes many incarnations. She has many incarnations as well. So yeah, if you're more interested in what I've said here today, hit me up in the comment section and I'll reply. You don't have to start with the first book, Eternal Champion, but it is where I recommend to give you a taste, and then I would launch into the Elric stuff. You don't necessarily have to read all these 15 original books in order. I read Eternal Champion first, then the Elric stuff, and then went back and started reading the other stuff. So yeah, this is great as well. Highly recommend War Amongst the Angels. After Count Brass, the 15th book, Michael Moorcock decided, yeah, I want to do more, so he does this, and this is wonderfully done. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're already familiar with this person, I'm not going to discourage you from commenting. Put something down, pique someone else's interest. Share something with me, that you think I, would like. Maybe I've not touched upon something. I've barely scratched the surface here, and that's on purpose because I don't want to spoil anything really. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time. God bless now. Bye.